Hello and welcome to Jerez, the Spanish Grand Prix, where we showed you yesterday the number of fans gathered to try and get a picture, a selfie, an autograph of Marc Marquez. Well, after his first pole position of 2026, his first since Hungary last year, the crowd waiting for the number 93 has doubled in size. The man that is the reigning, defending MotoGP World Champion has needed a pole position. He has needed a result, and what better place to get it than right here at the Spanish Grand Prix at Jerez. Let's see what the fans make of it. Marc Marquez gana hoy, sí o no? Sí! There we go, easy. Using my excellent Spanish there. I'll translate for you. Marc Marquez wins today, yes or no? Quite a strong reaction from pole position. Let's see what the 93 can do. But as we say, we spoke about it yesterday, given the injury challenges that he's had with his shoulder since the start of the season. Results have been hard to come by. He's had his misfortune as well, most notably coming at the opening round of the year in Thailand, and then again with the crashes that he had in Austin. But that pole position could be the springboard that he needs to really kickstart his defence of this World Championship. He's not going to have it in his own way, though, because when he spoke to us yesterday, he wasn't that comfortable, that happy with the rhythm, the pace he was able to put down during practice yesterday. The session was taking place in wet conditions or a drying track. So let's see what he's able to do now that the sun is out and the track is clearly going to dry. He's going to have huge competition from the man on the outside of the front row of the grid in Fabio Di Giannantonio, and two other men on the second row of the grid. We'll get to them, Marco Bezzecchi and Alex Marquez. So you see Jack Miller posing for a photo here. I'm sure will be frustrated Jack Miller. You know how strong he is in these conditions that we've just seen, and he just wasn't able to maximise the opportunity that was coming his way. An unfortunate crash at the final corner really put a bit of a mess together when it came to his session. Unfortunately for Jack, it was a Q1 exit. Coming through Q1, as we try and recap that pretty dramatic qualifying session here at Jerez, was Johann Zarco and Pedro Acosta, and they were two of the key players, arguably two of the red-hot favourites going into the Q2 session as they tried to put that Q1 experience to good use, understanding, knowing where the limit of the track, the limit of the bike was going to be with the damp patches in various places around the track. It was Zarco in the end, the LCR Honda man, that was able to put Marc Marquez under the most pressure. In fact, there was a great image at the end of the session. Marc Marquez had done his lap. All he could do was sit and wait, and he was sat there on his bike looking up at one of the big screens, hoping, praying a mistake was going to come from Johann Zarco, who was on course, we think, to maybe steal that pole position away from the number 93, and a big error at the final corner was enough to stop Johann Zarco's pole position charge right at the very death. And in the end, the 93 was able to cling on and hold on to top spot, but Zarco, impressive nonetheless. The Frenchman coming through Q1 knew, he said in Parc Fermé, that an opportunity was there today. He was smiling in bed last night, hearing the raindrops on the top of his motorhome, and he went out there and delivered for Lucio Cecchinello's squad. Second for him onto the front row. Of course, with the sun now out and the track drying, and we anticipate a dry Grand Prix to come tomorrow, a very different challenge ahead for the number 5, the veteran Frenchman. But we know that if the rain is to come, then Zarco is a very difficult man to rule out, and he will feel he can get in that podium fight. In the sprint, let's see what he can do, but you would imagine one of the key threats to Marc Marquez will come from the outside of front row of the grid. Brilliant job by Fabio Di Giannantonio, who was looking for 3 straight pole positions, a hat-trick of poles, having taken 2 in a week, let's not forget, in Brazil and Austin, and he was able to do a magnificent job to take that front row of the grid, as we're joined here by the man on the front row, Johann Zarco, is just going to have a very quick photo, and we'll just grab a very quick word. Johann, congrats, we just spoke to you in Parc Fermé. Got to be happy with that one, but I guess bad news, the sun's now out.
It's not the bad news. I was going well with the slick tires yesterday. I didn't get a good last 5 minutes, and I didn't improve a lot my lap time with the in time attack mode, but the pace was much better than what I could do with the time attack. So starting on the first row will be an advantage to hope a great result.
Good luck this afternoon.
Merci.
There we go. So Zarco still feeling confident that despite the sun now coming out and despite being outside of the top 10 yesterday, that it was in fact just his time attack that he couldn't put together, and he feels that with race rhythm that he isn't out of the fight here and may well be someone that can hold on and challenge for those podium places. As we mentioned before, we spoke with Johann, Fabio Di Giannantonio outside of the front row of the grid. He's in strong form at the moment, of course the top Ducati in the World Championship standings, and you would have to feel that he's going to put up a huge fight to Marc Marquez, as those two likely lock horns in a sprint once again, probably for the third time in a row. We cannot forget the battle that they had in Brazil, and then again 1 week later, Marc Marquez, of course, memorably, unforgettably taking out the Italian. So those two have got a little bit of bad blood there between the 93 and the 49. Are they going to come together once again in the sprint later on this afternoon? That is one of the storylines that you need to keep a very close eye on, because those two will likely come into combat, and when they do, it's going to be gloves off. No love lost, as we said, between the Spaniards and the Italians. Second row of the grid, there's going to be a huge challenge coming from, of course, the World Championship leader, Marco Bezzecchi. He went under the radar in that session, but you have to give huge credit in conditions like that, which are so challenging, so easy to make a mistake. Job done for the World Championship leader in the fight for the sprint and the Grand Prix tomorrow by fronting that second row of the grid. Excellent job by the Italian, and I'm sure he will feel really confident, really pleased for what's to come after doing a brilliant job there. And the same has to go to Alex Marquez. Huge credit to him. Alex, the red-hot favourite to take pole position in dry conditions, but he was, in the end, able to take middle of the second row of the grid, and that despite a crash when following his brother Marc halfway through the session. So to pick himself up, dust himself down, get back out there on his second bike and improve enough to be on the second row of the grid, brilliant job. Pedro Acosta, I think, will feel slightly frustrated. He was out of the game in dry conditions when he spoke to us yesterday, the wet providing an opportunity, but given what he was able to do in the free practice 2 session and then again in Q1, you would have to feel that he was hoping at the minimum to be there on the front row of the grid. So 6 in the end for Pedro. I'm sure he will reflect on that and maybe be slightly frustrated he wasn't able to take more of the opportunity in front of him. Just finally, third row of the grid will be, if I can remember rightly, Jorge Martini, who had a crash himself. We'll also see who else will be on there. I think Ralph Fernandez did a brilliant job to be in there as well, but the front 2 rows of the grid will, of course, be where our focus shall be. It looks as though the key contenders for this afternoon sprint will come from there. As we see, the 93, the reigning world champion, the man on pole position, Marc Marquez, posing for some photos. We spoke with him yesterday. I'm not going to bother him today because I think that I may well be chatting to him again later on this afternoon. So I will leave Marc be, just in case we see him down at Nieto Palucchi for the sprint podium in about 2 or 3 hours' time. But as we're saying, that a result that comes at absolutely the right time for Marc Marquez on Thursday and yesterday. We've spoken out at length about the need for a big result for Marc Marquez to really kickstart his championship defence, his championship challenge, to try and put the pressure on Marco Bezzecchi, who has had it all his own way in the opening 3 rounds of the year. And you do feel from pole position he should be able to get the whole shot, control the race, and hopefully from there be able to apply some pressure to his rivals, who yesterday did have superior pace, you have to be honest with that. But if he can hold them off and manage his rear tyre, manage the race from the front, that will give him a big opportunity to try and take. Well, he has to be aiming from pole for a much needed double sprint and Grand Prix win, a maximum 37 points. And I do remind you, 36 he is at the moment, adrift of Marco Bezzecchi. But see, it's going to be a fascinating one regardless, as we are here, of course, at the Estrella Galicia 0-0. Please drink sensibly. Spanish Grand Prix. So, as is often a tradition here in this part of the world as well, I think it should be right that we finish off inside the paddock by taking you down to the Estrella Galicia hospitality, which I have to say was rather busy over the course of the weekend so far. And I'm going to toast, now that the sun has come out. I wasn't going to do it if the rain was coming down, but the sun has come out just at the very right moment for me to go and enjoy a 0-0. I promise it's a 0-0 as well, because I am still on duty. May well change to a full-fat Estrella Galicia by the time 6 p.m. rolls around and all of our interviews are done for the day. But whilst we have the chance, let's recap on what's to come then later on today as we make our way through the paddock. You can see behind us the Yamaha box here. Frustration once again, and huge credit, I've got to say, one of the performances of the morning. It may well go under the radar. I guess in one way highlights the huge challenges that Yamaha are trying to overcome at the moment. Both Toprak Razgatlioglu and Jack Miller, you would have thought, would have had a great opportunity at trying to fight for a big result, as we need to go a little bit further down. And I thought I was going to cut through there. As we see, one of the Femaniacs here. Hello, how are you? He's good, he's good. That's good news. Happy with Fermin's performance? Thumbs up? Content with... Yep, we're happy. We're good. We're good. Lovely. Nice to meet you. There we go. Is that the Femaniac, I think? I'm trying to get that one to catch on. The Fermin Aldeguer fan club. It's got to be the Femaniac, surely. Anyway, if you are a part of the Aldeguer fan club, then make up some T-shirts. I'll be the chairman if you would like. Fermin, a couple of crashes this morning, so frustration for him. But back to the Yamaha point. Top qualifier for Yamaha, would you believe? Wildcard Augusto Fernandez, which I guess you could look at it from glass half full or glass half empty. On the one side, great job by Augusto to be the top Yamaha and to put in that performance, but also stark reality being that even in conditions which often can provide an opportunity to mix the grid up, Yamaha still struggling with their 4 full factory riders in Fabio Quartararo, Alex Rins, Toprak Razgatlioglu and Jack Miller, and there's some pretty strong wet weather riders in amongst those 4 unable to do a lap better than Augusto Fernandez. There's a gaggle, 5 Yamahas at the very back of the grid. Another tough day. A tough day as well for Diogo Moreira, the Brazilian. I know lots of fans following back in Brazil. A crash whilst trying to go with teammate Johann Zarco. The tactics were right. Lucio Cecchinello said, Johann, you go out. You've got the experience. You're brilliant in these conditions. And Diogo, just stay with him, which he did before a crash came at a pretty inopportune moment. And as a result, he wasn't able to get back out there and wasn't able to set a lap time. So it will be Moreira at the very back of the grid. Frustration, I'm sure, for him as he looks to try and take a 4th straight 13th place finish. As we now see all of the hospitality units here. This is the big MotoGP sign that often so many of you, when you visit the paddock, like to get a photo with. And there's plenty of important people, not including myself, floating around, enjoying cocktails, enjoying the Spanish weather. Well, not this morning, but now at least with a little bit of sunshine, they can enjoy classic Jerez Andalusian sunshine. But coming up later on then, as we said, it's going to be a huge battle at the front. Marc Marquez, Fabio Di Giannantonio, Marco Bezzecchi and Alex Marquez. 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th on the grid. Looking at yesterday's lap times in the dry, those were the 4 that jumped off the page. Those were the 4 that had a big chance of fighting for the top honours this weekend. And that form, that pace in the dry has been able to transfer across to the wet, with a few interlopers coming through from Q1 in that of Johann Zarco and Pedro Acosta. I think we'll be surprised if our podium finishers come from anybody outside of the front 2 rows of the grid, given what we were able to see yesterday. How are you, sir? All good? Where are you from, sir?
Jack, Eric Booman.
How are you?
Awesome. Came over from the United States, from Boston.
Amazing.
To watch the MotoGP guys, and I'm having a ball.
Yeah, it looks like it.
You want a chip?
No, I'm good for the moment.
You're awesome. Good to see you, huh?
And you as well. First time.
You're doing a great job. First time at Jerez.
And what do you think?
Excuse me?
What do you think?
It's absolutely incredible.
There we go.
Go Marquez. Let's go.
I can see you. You're well donned in the 93. Nice to meet you, Eric. There we go. All the way from Boston. What great to have him on board here this weekend. People travelling from all around the world. This goes without saying, one of the highlights on the MotoGP calendar. The Spanish Grand Prix is going to be an electric sellout atmosphere tomorrow as we get ourselves into, good afternoon everybody, how are we everyone, and just enjoying themselves a little beer. And I think I'm going to make sure that I take some refreshments as well. Hello, how are you?
Hello, ¿qué tal?
Bien, bien, gracias. Una caña, porfa. Thank you, there we go. Of course, Estrella Galicia, the proud title sponsor of this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. And as you can see here as well, with these cans, which are available in Spain and around the world, I believe, as well. If you buy one of these Estrella Galicia 00s, there is a QR code on the back, which you can scan. Let me just show you here. So there you go, QR code on the back. Make sure you scan that and you can enter a draw to be in with a chance of winning tickets, VIP tickets no less, to a MotoGP race of your choice. So there you go, thanks to Estrella Galicia. If you enjoy yourselves a 0-0 over the coming weeks, make sure when you do, you scan that QR code and put yourself in the draw to try and be in with a chance of winning VIP tickets to a MotoGP event coming up this year. Muchas gracias. So there we go. Cheers, guys. I'm going to enjoy this one and get ready for the MotoGP Sprint, 3 o'clock local time. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside the Paddock. We'll chat to you soon.